As for that missile attack on Polish territory, Russian-made missile, how the dynamic of the situation took place, it was around about 50 miles into Polish territory, and two tractors were attacked by two missiles, presumably. Judging by the photos, I think it's more like a grenade attack which overturned, what you might call it, the trailers of the tractors. And the tractors were still intact, and obviously the, what you may call it, mainstream press were running this narrative. It was the Russians, but strangely enough, during the day, NATO came out with a very, very peculiar statement. They say it was a Ukrainian missile which attacked these tractors in Polish territory. The chief himself of NATO, whatever his name is, quotes, it was a Ukrainian missile. And it's not Ukrainians' fault, he stated. Who the fucking hell launched a missile? And obviously they came out with a cock and bull story and say, Ukrainians were firing missiles upon Russian planes or some other vehicles, military vehicles in the area. How's it possibly? Because in the western part of Ukraine, there are no Russian presence of military convoys like tanks or convoys of that type. Strange. Probably they were defending themselves from so-called, what you may call it, air attack from missiles and drones from Russia, which today is slowly knocking the crap out of Western Kiev. No, Western Ukraine, sorry. And the fact is, it's been reported 80% of the Ukraine infrastructures regarding the grid, gas and water are knocked out. So Ukrainians will be facing, the civilians will be facing a very, very grim, what you would call it, winter. And in those places, the temperatures can even go down to minus 25 Celsius. It's not like on the European continent, it's mild. So, Zelensky has underestimated, as usual, the Russians. He said, no, the Russians would never attack Kiev, which they did. They never had not even a working defence system against the Iranian-made drones and missiles, which were supplied by the Iranians in the end. And then afterwards, the first raids, all hell break loose, and slowly, Russians are destroying the civilian infrastructure of Ukraine. At the beginning of this so-called special military operations, they never touched it, because they wanted it intact. After what happened in Crimea, the bridge, which obviously the Western leaders are behind, like the English intelligence, they decided to go down heavy. It's only logical that they retaliate in that way. And then Zelensky wants to set his conditions for negotiations for peace. He hasn't even got a pot to piss in, let alone ask for concessions. This country's on the verge of total collapse socially, economically. What's he got to bargain with? Nothing. Best he surrenders. End of story. Because the more this thing drags on, the whole of fucking Europe will be dragged in. And that's what he wants. He wants NATO to intervene. And probably this stunt which he tried to use, you know, blame on the Russians because a missile entered in Polish territory and they could invoke that famous article of NATO. I think NATO are very cautious in this case about it, because I think they're beginning to lose faith in this Zelensky character, because he wants NATO to be involved in this war against Russia.